All bodily sensations, including those visceral feelings from your chest and stomach, are relayed back to the brain through the pathways via the spinal cord. Your already anxious and highly alert brain then processes these signals at both conscious and unconscious levels. The insula is a part of the brain specifically involved in conscious awareness of your emotions, pain, and bodily sensations. The prefrontal cortex also engages in self-awareness, especially by labeling and naming these physical sensations, like feeling tightness or pain in your stomach, and attributing cognitive value to them, like "this is fine and will go away," or "this is terrible and I am dying." These physical sensations can sometimes create a loop of increasing anxiety, as they make the brain feel more scared of the situation because of the turmoil it senses in the body. Although the feelings of fear and anxiety start in your brain, you also feel them in your body because your brain alters your bodily functions. Emotions take place in both your body and your brain, but you become aware of their existence with your brain. By Arash Javanbakht, Associate Professor of Psychiatry, Wayne State University. Valeria interviews Dr. Megan Plotkowski on the topic of the neuroscience of anxiety. Dr. Megan is an EMDR-trained associate marriage and family therapist who brings a rare fusion of scientific precision, emotional depth, and intuitive clarity to her clinical work. She holds a PhD in molecular biology and biochemistry with an emphasis in neuroscience, as well as a master's degree in clinical psychology, bridging the world of hard science with the complexities of human experience. Megan currently works in both private practice and community mental health, specializing in clients who feel overwhelmed, emotionally stuck, or disconnected, particularly those navigating anger, anxiety, addiction, trauma, or complex family dynamics. Before entering the field of psychotherapy, Megan worked as a research scientist at MGen and UCLA, contributing to groundbreaking studies in molecular genetics and neural protein structure and function. She also taught at UCLA. Her academic background continues to inform a therapy style rooted in evidence-based practice, intellectual rigor, and deep compassion. In recent years, Megan has also come to recognize and trust a deep intuitive knowing that emerges both in her personal life and in the therapy room. This awareness led her to develop a dual wisdom model of therapy that honors both the analytical and the unseen, a framework that bridges neuroscience and symbolism, logic and lived experience, insight and mystery. Whether drawing from hard science, depth psychology, or intuition, Megan's work is grounded in the belief that healing often begins where the visible ends, and that true transformation happens when the unspoken is finally brought into the light. Meet Megan at thescientisttherapist.com. Here's the interview with Megan Plotkowski.
Aloha, everyone. This is another Quest for Wellbeing podcast conversation, and my guest today is Dr. Megan Plotkowski. Gosh, I've been practicing just for a little while, her last name. She is an EMDR trained associate marriage and family therapist who brings a rare fusion of scientific precision, emotional depth, and intuitive clarity to her clinical work. Which is very much appreciated by me and everyone who listens to this episode. As I get, as the more I get to know my community, I see how they're very much into this, almost like this blend of science and spirituality. That's what we are trying to do here. So, in your own words, I usually ask this question to everyone. How would you introduce yourself? Who is Megan in her own words in this very moment?
Wow. Oh, all the hard questions first.
Yes.
I would say, like, in this very moment, part of me wants to say that I'm just a collection of neurons firing in interesting patterns, mixed with a lot of stories that I've picked up along the way.
Yes.
I also feel like I am a work in progress. I feel like I'm an intersection between my biology and my history and my thoughts and emotions at this very moment. But if you ask me tomorrow, I'll probably give you a totally different answer because
Yes.
I don't believe that who we are is fixed. And I feel like we're
Mm,
constantly being, rewritten by time and memory and experience. And so today
mm,
I'm this version of me, but
mm.
tomorrow I'll probably be someone different.
Right. Yeah. What an interesting, insightful answer. Yeah, very scientific in a sense, very grounded in biology, right? Like
Mhm.
the what composes the body. And it makes a lot of sense to me because I have been done a lot of spiritual work and studies throughout the years.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we know, especially people who study this, it's almost like a scientific approach to spirituality. It's called Vedanta.
Mhm.
It's a Hindu
Mhm.
system of understanding what is to be a human, what is to be, what life is. So, in a sense, that's exactly what they say. That
Mhm.
the body and mind, they are part of nature, so they're all both of them are always changing. There's
Yeah.
no such a thing as fixed anything or still anything. It's always changing. So my question is to you, with that in mind, what do you feel doesn't change? Do you have the sense of something
Mm.
that's always there, has been there throughout your life, unchanged?
Yeah, I think that there's a core. I think that there is, as we would say in therapy talk, there's sort of a self. And I think
Right.
that that
Yeah.
in some ways, yes, although there's this dynamic change daily and minute by minute, there are certain things that remain constant. And
Mm,
I think that, yeah, in some ways, even though I'm always changing, I've still
mm,
always been me.
right.
And that actually kind of reminds me of this quote that I love by Carl Sagan, that said, I think it says, we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. And
Mm,
I kind of
mm,
like that
yeah.
because it reminds me that I'm very small and also somehow part of
Mm,
something really vast.
mm,
And it's kind of crazy how
yeah.
the universe built this brain just so it can ask questions like this.
Right.
And so to
Right.
me, that's like the act of wondering about who we are is kind of already the answer. Like we're here, we're alive, and we're aware enough to ask these kinds of questions.
Mm,
So there's
wow.
something fixed and there's something constantly changing.
Yes. Again, I love how at the depth of your understanding of life and
Mm,
you, which is one and the same, right?
mhm.
God, the
Yeah.
universe is one and the same, from my
Yeah.
perspective too.
Uh-huh. Me too.
Um,
Yep.
Gosh, I love that, Megan. You just paused me for a moment because a lot of times
Mm.
I don't hear, these yes, these are the kinds of conversations that I really, really, really love. I have to
Me
say,
too. Me too.
love them. So, how did you become a therapist? Let me see if this is the right question to ask. What inspired you to become a therapist? Or do you feel that this is built in? Like, do we come with those imprints to somehow
Mm.
become and to lean towards some tendencies? I'm wondering.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that perspective.
It's a funny little story. So I come from a really scientific family. I have my dad's a scientist, my grandfathers were scientists.
Yeah.
And so I think my early years were really focused on science, and like
Mm,
really building that part of my understanding. And so I ended up getting a PhD in molecular biology and biochemistry, and I worked as a research scientist for many years. And then a number of things happened, but I think it was having children, it
mm,
was COVID, it was a lot of different things that sort of rocked my world. And I think part of the reason why I wanted to be a scientist was also because I
mm,
had this dream of, I really wanted to help people. I wanted to cure disease. I wanted to,
mm.
you know,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
change the world. And
Yeah.
what I saw a lot with science was, even though all those goals are still true and I still wanted to do that, I wasn't seeing the direct impact on
Yeah.
people that I wanted.
Yeah.
And so it's just sort of becoming a therapist felt like this sort of natural evolution for me, where I still love the science, obviously, but I realized that I think I can help more people by even using the science, but maybe in a more educational way,
Right.
and even what I'm here to talk about today, about anxiety and the science
Mm.
behind it.
Right.
I hope that I can take all the different parts of myself, the science part and the caring therapist part, and kind of blend them
Mm.
together to help.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that there's these parts that are always there. I think most therapists that I know, and I know quite a few,
Right.
they're really some of the most, really altruistic people I know. They're really
Yeah.
want to help so badly and have so much empathy. And so I think for a long time, I sort of ignored those parts of me when I was focusing so heavily on science. And now I sort of feel like I've opened a floodgate of
Mm.
all of the stuff that I wasn't kind of focusing on before. And so I love what I've created, because I've sort of created my own
Mm.
little world here, which is science and being a therapist.
Right. And it's beautiful though. Yeah, I love therapists. There's something
Yeah.
about them.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
kind of funny. And I use the word love because I have
Uh-huh.
so much, not just respect, admiration, and this affection. It's funny. I
Hmm.
feel like they're like, when I meet them, beautiful people like you, it's like meeting
Mm.
a best friend. It feels that way.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with the clarity, the empathy. Of course, I can sense that
Hmm.
therapists are very empathetic, but also there's this sense of psychological clarity, and I
Mm.
appreciate that. It feels to me, being born in a household where there's a lot of confusion and a lot
Hmm.
of distress and dysfunction and issues, then it became even more acute, almost like something that I had
Hmm.
to have, as a young
Yeah.
adult, and like
Hmm.
clarity. People who I would
Yes.
know, not just physically, but I'm most interested in their inner world anyway when I meet somebody. So
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
makes sense. It goes
Yeah.
psychological and spiritual too. So I merge
Yeah.
those two. So,
Yeah.
so before we begin with the topic of the neuroscience of anxiety, Megan, I have another question for you. So when I think about scientists, I think about in therapists, scientists of the
Hmm.
mind. I think
Hmm.
about seekers of truth, and that's what
Hmm.
a lot of spiritual seekers are all about. So and
Hmm.
that's how I started to looking for truth. What is truthful? What is true
Hmm.
here? So I have this
Hmm.
question for you that just came to me. Um, so as of today, what is a truth or some truth that you have uncovered that that would matter in that last moment, and when we take our last breath, when we
Hmm.
close our eyes for the last time? Do you have
Wow.
that in mind? I would love to hear that from you.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Um, I think that, and this sort of goes into a little bit of a spiritual way. I do
Yeah,
feel that there is an interconnectedness
yeah.
through all of us,
Mm,
and I take that not only from, you know, quantum physics that tells us that, again, reality is all, it's dynamic and it is interconnected, but
right.
it's also coming from it comes from everything. It comes from a biological perspective, and
Yeah.
even from a philosophical perspective. I feel like we all need each other, and we all are connected. We're connected through the
Mm,
universe. We're connected biologically.
mm,
And I feel like, in some ways we try so hard
mm,
to ignore that, or to push that away. And I feel like there is this interconnectedness that is sort of a truth, energetically, spiritually, biologically. And so I think there's something for me. I think there's something beautiful about that. I think closing my eyes for the last time and understanding that there's, that I am part of something vast, and that I am part of everything and everyone, and so I think there's for me, there's a comfort in that. And there's a beauty in that, and there's something that there's a peace in that for me.
Wow, that's a beautiful answer too. You're very wise, in many ways.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yes, I asked the question because and I think when I think about scientists again and spiritual seekers, we are looking for truth. And then for me has been the question, what truth really matter, that on the level of a day-to-day living, moment to moment. And that for me has been love, which has exactly that piece that you mentioned, that everything is interconnected. But even beyond that everything carries the same essence. So if I do something harmful to my body, then my mind will suffer. And then if I do it to the mind, the body will suffer. And then it goes on. If I do it to you, somebody else, then I'm doing to myself in a sense and it's not really like the karma thing. It just doesn't feel right. Unless, unless we have some, as some people, they do it. And it is real though. I understand that too, that some people are not wired the same, their brains, and they are called psychopath or
sociopaths. Yeah.
Yeah. So those, I guess, those are unique situations, kind of people, right, Megan? They don't have this understanding and they cannot have it actually. Yeah. But there's something about truth that's, for me, has to be grounded in my own experience. And if it's not, and it's not truth. I can't see it as truth. Although there's, we can't philosophize. We can't just go into meditation and all these abstract things, but beautiful ideas and state of beings of mind. But I've done all that. But then today it's really, it's interesting. It's almost like it goes back to science in that sense. So maybe that's why I'm bringing this up here, because truth and science, they are one and the same. And then spirituality, of course. Experience.
Yeah.
Do you want to do you want to add anything to it?
Oh, well, what you said about this sort of this idea that when, you hurt, sort of it's like when you hurt yourself, or I see that as almost like it ripples, or it echoes all around. And so, yes, I do feel like there's something about that. It goes back to this feeling of interconnectedness, right? Where it doesn't just, stay, it goes out, and, it's sort of whatever you want to call that, energy or a vibration or I don't know what you want to call it. There's probably a million things to call it, but I do agree with that. And then what you said about love, like, I think, yes, love is the hardest thing to understand, but it's the easiest thing to understand. On the one hand, it's a bunch of, there's neurotransmitters that you can explain that away as just a chemical signal, but on the other hand, obviously there's these biological processes do participate in experiences that feel larger than the self. But I think, spirituality is the recognition that we are at once finite and infinite. And things do ripple out, and echo throughout time.
Yes, a billion times to that truth, with the capital T, from my own experience. Yes. Gosh, there's so much here. I made a lot of notes about There's a lot of so many interesting things about you, but okay, let me go back to the topic. So the
Yeah.
neuroscience of anxiety. You sent me an
Yeah.
article that felt very, very scientific in a sense of complexity. So the title is "If Anxiety is in My Brain, Why is My Heart Pounding?" A psychiatrist
Yes.
explains the neuroscience and physiology of fear. So talk to me about that with your simple words, so we can all
Okay. I
understand.
will. Yes, I'm definitely gonna be simple. So I think so. Something that I love to talk, because I see a lot of clients with anxiety.
Yeah,
And so what I try to teach, more than anything else, and again, forgetting all the, scientific jargon, but what anxiety, we oftentimes misunderstand anxiety as some type of a flaw in the brain or something
right,
that's, really dangerous and harmful. But I like to think of it more as like a feature. So it's really a survival mechanism that is really built deep into our brain, is hardwired in there. And so
right,
essentially what this is like an ancient system. So for especially for early humans, it was essential to have anxiety. So imagine living on the savannah and you hear a rustle in the grass. And
yeah,
so back then, anxiety was the signal that really got you moving, like run, hide, fight, fight back, do something. And so the
right,
people whose brains had strong anxiety responses were more likely to survive predators, accidents, any hostile environments. And so anxiety literally, in some ways, kept our ancestors alive. And
right,
so today, because we don't rarely face lions or tigers, in the real world,
right,
but our anxiety alarms still go off in response to modern threats. So things
right,
like financial stress or public speaking or traffic or, uncertainty about the future or a job. And so, but the trick is that our brain, our amygdala, our limbic system doesn't know the difference between a lion in the grass and a nasty email from your boss.
right,
And so it still sends the same fear message. So, whether or not this threat is real or imagined. And so while anxiety can feel uncomfortable or, even debilitating, it's not useless. So
right,
it's information. And so it's your body's way of saying something here feels unsafe or important or uncertain. And so pay attention right now. And
right,
so the trick is really learning to decode the message. So, sometimes the signal is accurate, like, hey, don't go down that dark alleyway. That doesn't seem safe.
right,
And other times it's almost like misfiring. So other times, like, it's telling you you're unsafe because people might judge you when you're public speaking. And so sometimes it's
yeah,
not about danger at all, it's about values. So anxiety can also rise when we're out of alignment with what we care about, too. So I think the message is when we understand the brain, we can, and sort of what anxiety is doing there, we can step back, we can sort of thank our limbic system for doing its job, and then we can work to calm our body down and get our prefrontal cortex, our sort of logic brain, back online. So that's really what it is.
right. Yeah, that sounds like that's simple to understand.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. That makes so much sense to me, and I do. I've been listening to you and writing some questions here that came
Hmm.
to me as I
Hmm.
listened. So this so something happens in the brain that triggers this almost like this sensation. It feels like a sensation, doesn't
Hmm.
it? When the
Hmm.
heart,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a sensation in the body. But I
Yeah.
noticed, so we call it anxiety a lot of times, and
Hmm.
that's connected to a lot of people connect to fear, and I do
Hmm.
too. But there's something that I noticed, and a lot of people that I've been talking here, we have actually, some people, we have talked about this. How do
Hmm.
we know the difference between also excitement, because a lot of times it is my case when I get too
Mm.
excited about something really positive, really great. And then like when I had my puppy, oh my God, I couldn't sleep at night because I wanted to wake up quick,
Yeah.
as soon as possible to just hug him. So
Yes.
and you as a mother, I can imagine. So I know I'm not a mother. But
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I'm wondering, like, you also call that at some point, does it become anxiety, that kind of excitement?
Mm. That's a good question. I would say that there's different parts of the brain lighting up when it comes to, you know, pleasurable or exciting things. And so
Right.
that's when you're getting a flood of neurotransmitters. You're getting a
Mhm.
bunch of either, you're getting these hormones that are telling you, oh, like this is so exciting, love this puppy, bond with your
Right.
puppy.
Yeah.
So it's not quite the same, but I would say things to look out for
Mhm.
might be the maybe the difference would be the sort of physiological symptoms. So yes,
Right.
there's a heart racing, but are you getting the quickened breathing? Are you getting the sweaty palms? Are you
Mm.
getting
Mm.
um,
I
so
see.
all of these are, definitely biological reactions.
Yeah.
And there is some crossover, but I would
Mm.
say it's not quite the same, although, I'm not the expert on all of this. So there could be maybe more crossover than I'm aware of,
Yes.
um, but yeah, but there's definite emotions that feel similar, and some can be positive and some can be negative, but they can bring up
Mm.
similar feelings in the body.
Similar sensations, right? Yes,
Yes.
I felt that. Another thing that I
Hmm.
noticed, I remember when I had, I think my heart was racing because I was doing something that I was not supposed to do for my body type,
Hmm.
perhaps. I
Hmm.
don't do well with caffeine. Anything that will speed up
Hmm.
my thinking, or none. What do you call? You call them?
Stimulants.
Yeah, stimulants. I don't do well with
Yes.
them. So
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
my husband was drinking coffee every day, and then when I met him, when we just met,
Hmm.
then I started doing the same, just out of
Hmm.
companionship, being around, having
Yes.
breakfast together, and then and then he would leave, and I would feel like I wouldn't feel good. The body, the heart would
Mm.
be racing, and then
Hmm.
I also remember kind of the mind, or you would say the brain, kind of
Hmm.
amplifying the situation,
Mm.
like, oh, you're going to die, this is a heart attack, like all
Yeah.
these thoughts, would be and I
Hmm.
wonder so the body affects the mind, as we know, in the mind or the brain affects the
Hmm.
body. Is that because I
Yes.
see with the article that, from what I understand with anxiety, it says here it starts with the brain. So the brain,
Hmm.
it's always, but I'm wondering if that could be the other way around too, Megan.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's really a very astute point. Yes. So, the feelings that we're having are everything comes from the brain, like whatever
Right.
we feel, that's a signal from the brain. But
Right.
it doesn't necessarily have to start there. So yes, like if
Mm.
you have a good example, like having a stimulant essentially turns on a lot of the body's, it sort of mimics, like physically it mimics the feelings that you might get from a
Mm.
panic attack or from,
Right.
from
Yes.
anxiety.
Yes.
And that then your brain doesn't really know, it doesn't know the difference,
Right.
necessarily. And
Mm.
you're triggering. So the limbic system is all about feeling. It's not about logic. It's not about anything
Mm.
other than just feeling
Right.
and memory. And so yeah, for sure, if you're having a strong reaction to too much coffee,
Mm.
that definitely is mimicking anxiety and potentially causing it, because what's happening is
Right,
your body, then
right.
your brain's going, wait, my heart's racing. Wait, I'm sweating.
Yes.
All these things. And so then your brain's like, uh-oh, this could be
Yes.
trouble, like what I better sound the alarm again. So
Yeah,
yeah, for
that's
sure.
it.
It goes both ways. Again,
Yeah.
interconnected, right? Where it's the
Mm,
brain and the body and the environment. So we're
yes.
getting signals all the time, and they could be signals from food, from
Mm,
the environment, from nature, from the weather, like all these things. We're always taking in sensory information, and our brain is constantly making sense, and sometimes it gets it wrong,
yeah. Right.
the so
Right.
mhm.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it gets it wrong, and then yeah, and that's when it's I think panic attacks, isn't it? That the
Yeah.
brain starts to just kind of create one story on top of another, and then
Yes.
amplifies the
Yes.
situation. So that's one of the things that I learned when it comes, because I come from trauma, a lot of physical trauma.
Hmm.
So I kind of learned to, when something happens to the body, like I feel anything that it seems like it's not pain, whatever it is, because I work out a lot too, so I have some
Yeah.
soreness. So I kind of I don't create stories. I just let that to be just a
Hmm.
sensation, and I do what it needs to be done. Of course, a massage, and
Hmm.
then I do a sleep. I try to sleep better, take more vitamin C, all those things,
Yes.
anti-inflammatory. But I try not to. I mean, I'm very aware of storytelling and how can,
Yes.
yeah, really cause a lot of issues when it comes to
Yeah.
the mind, the mental
For sure.
realm.
Yeah. And it sounds like you've done a lot of work, and you've sort of
Oh,
learned
yeah.
how to, learn how to narrate it properly, and learn maybe how to externalize it. And a lot of
Mm,
what I do, is when I am treating somebody with anxiety, it is a lot of externalizing. It is a lot of,
right,
learning these little tips and tricks
right.
to try to turn it back down, or just sit with it and understand that it's not. I think you mentioned panic attacks, and I think
Yeah,
there's this natural. I mean, panic attacks make us feel like we're going to die, like we
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like we could actually have a heart attack and drop dead, and
right.
that's not what's going to happen. But it's almost like our limbic system again is totally out of control,
Yes,
and it tricks us. It makes us think that something absolutely awful is going to happen. And
right.
so learning to understand, okay, I'm having a panic attack, I'm not going to die, this
Mm,
is this is just my brain sort of misfiring right now, is can be, it's really the trick, it's really the answer to getting to making it go away.
right. And it has been my experience. I think I had how many of them that I can remember? Probably two or three throughout my life,
Hmm.
or maybe
Hmm.
more. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
remember. I remember one really well. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's fascinating how a thought can do so much, right,
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
It's really
Hmm.
fascinating. One thought can change the physiology of
Yes.
of the body, how the cells respond. I mean, it's just incredible. And you say
Absolutely.
something within those lines. I love the way you say in your bio, you say, my work is grounded in the belief that healing often begins where the visible ends, and
Hmm.
that true transformation happens when the unspoken is finally brought into the light.
Yes.
So I mean, I just love that. I love so intuition. So what is the difference between intuition and instincts, in a sense of the
Mm.
body sensing something that is, da- danger that's real? And then intuition can also protect us, right? As we know.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I would love to hear.
Wow. It's a good question. So the way I would say it is, there's something, to me, intuition is beyond, it really goes beyond the body. It really truly feels, and this is just how it feels for me, but it almost feels like I'm receiving something from somewhere else. And so I
Right.
do, I
Yeah.
do feel like I'm quite intuitive, and I do, have, I do see, I many times in my life, I have felt that I've, been able to see things that ended up happening later.
Right. Right.
And I feel like those messages aren't coming from me. Whereas, um, I'm sorry, intuition and what was the other one?
Oh,
um,
instinct. I think
instinct.
with
Yes.
physical, yeah. But,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think of that. I
yeah,
think of intuition as more of something that lands, or something that almost comes from somewhere else, at least in my experience. And
right,
instinct more is something that comes more from the body. So it's more,
right.
to me, it feels more biological. It feels more like it's
Mm,
coming deep from your DNA, or from, a place, a primitive place, or an
right,
ancient place in your DNA. Whereas the
right.
intuition, I feel like, is given another way. And I don't know what way that is, but I
Mm,
do feel like it comes to you or me almost like a lightning bolt.
mm,
And I've learned that it's very true. It's almost never wrong.
right. It has been my experience too. Yes.
Yes.
With
Yes.
the observation for me has been, or my observation has been that intuition has this almost like this top of the mountain view, and
Mm,
it's something that benefits, like, again, everything and everyone.
mm-hmm.
It always for me has been that way. The visions I have for where to live, what kind of work to engage
Mm-hmm.
with, people and all that has been with
Yes.
bringing harmony, so we can come together in harmony and help one another, our own body, minds, and then our communities, and then nature. And this has
Yes.
this wholeness type of vision, of
Yes.
perspective. That has been my experience. Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think that it sort of reminds me of this concept of the sort of the collective unconscious, like this sort
yeah,
of, there's something, again, and it's hard to sort of put into words exactly what it is, but there is there is sort of there's something else. There's a connectedness, like I keep coming back to,
yes,
and in
yes,
the unconscious mind, and in the world, and so. I feel like that reminded me of what you were talking about. There's sort of there's messages that come,
yeah,
or feelings that come, that are
mm,
coming from somewhere else. I don't
yeah,
know where. I don't know where. but they're
yes.
not but they're not coming from my brain. They're coming
Ah,
from
yeah.
something else.
It's more expansive, right? It's
Yeah,
not
it's more
localized in
expansive.
that
Uh-huh.
sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Megan. So that makes sense, because when I think about instincts, when I think about the authority of the body, which is more
Mhm.
based on survival and how to
Mhm.
thrive physically, survive and all that, then that comes a lot in a sense of it has to do with food, so it knows what foods to eat in
Mhm.
order to
Mhm.
be healthy and have energy. And then,
Yes.
something, I mean, it's quite powerful for the human experience, right? Because we are in a human
Mhm.
body. So I kind of
Yes.
listen to body wisdom. And
Mhm.
then there's, I call like universal intelligence, which is
Yeah.
intuition is connected to.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly what we're using different words for pretty much the same thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
How, and again, how fascinating, like you said earlier, that we are able even to reflect, right? Contemplate on
Yeah.
this topic.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah.
What's not to love about it? I usually see it that way. um,
Exactly.
there's another question that I want to ask you
Hmm.
about nervous system dysregulation, something that you mentioned. And
Hmm.
hopefully this is about me that I found on your
Hmm.
website.
Hmm.
So you say nervous system dysregulation, survival mechanisms originating in the brain, imbalances in hormones or neurotransmitters, and real world traumas and stressors can manifest as anxiety, depression, and unhealthy coping mechanisms. So
Hmm.
I guess I'm reading this because what caught my attention was the nervous system dysregulation. And that's when
Yeah.
I remember not knowing the difference between, is that something that's coming, is my nervous system dysregulated, or it's being triggered, activated, it's being dysregulated by other people's nervous system dysregulation.
Mm,
Because
mm.
I remember being around some people that, oh my God, I would start to sweat, and then my
Yes.
stomach starts to hurt, and I would have headaches almost like
Mm-hmm.
instantly. And every time
Yes.
I met them was the same. It's almost like a
Uh-huh.
scientific experiment. And then I'm like, oh my God,
Yes.
this is not just my head. It's really
Uh-huh.
happening.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Well, yeah, it's what you're describing. So yes, and I have that too sometimes. And
Yeah.
well, the opposite of that is what we would call co-regulation. So,
Mm,
like when you know a mother is holding her crying baby, the
yeah.
baby comes close into the mother's breast and feels her heartbeat and feels her calm energy, and the baby will calm down.
Right.
But on the sort of opposite end of that, yeah, we're also dysregulated by, and it could be from we can become dysregulated by other people's dysregulation or
Yeah.
their nervous systems,
Right.
for sure. And so,
Yeah.
and once again, I've said this word 100 times, it's interconnected, so
Right.
we don't live in a vacuum. We live
Right.
around people, and so especially for people who are highly sensitive people, and
Right.
I feel that you probably
Yeah.
are.
Right.
I can see how your nervous system reacts to other people's.
Yes.
And I think,
Right.
especially, you mentioned that you had some childhood trauma,
Oh, yeah.
and I think that when you grow up in an unsafe environment, you grow up where maybe your parents couldn't co-regulate with you.
Right. Right.
So you sort of are probably maybe more than even the average person, more sensitive to the other people's nervous systems, other people's
Yeah.
dysregulation.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so, and you mentioned you have a pet.
Oh,
I mean,
yes. The
how
Yes.
does it feel to like hold
Oh,
your pet? It's like,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's really your
Yeah.
nervous system, like honestly
Yeah. Yeah.
regulating with your pet's body, and calming down.
Oh my God, Megan. Even the thought of it, isn't it interesting?
Yes.
Well, this conversation with you too, I feel like, because I meet a lot of people, so I talk to
Hmm.
them sometimes videos, sometimes, but it's the same. It
Yes.
doesn't matter. It's I
Uh-huh.
can sense everything. So
Hmm.
I feel very calm and very clear in your
Mm.
presence. So that means
Oh.
there's something here. So thank you,
I
yeah, for
I
that.
feel the same. I feel the same way with you. You're a very calming presence. Yes.
That's wonderful, isn't it? When we yeah,
Yes.
I love that this connection. So
Hmm.
yeah, with my pet, oh my God, when we got him 4 years ago, I was so, I think from, because I was working a lot. So from
Hmm.
10, it was not anxiety, but was just a lot of work and always
Yes.
constantly going. So from that level of stress per se, healthy
Hmm.
stress, to
Hmm.
10 came down to 2 when he
Yep.
showed up. I was
Oh yeah.
just so much more joyful,
Yes.
and
Oh my God. Yes.
yeah, there's something about in children too. Children's a little bit different because
Yes.
I'm not a mother,
Hmm.
but I love
Hmm.
babies. When I see them, oh, I'm like, can I
Yes.
pick it up? Oh,
I know, I know.
yeah.
But
So
animals, I think animals, are so. I mean, there's something about animals. There's just this presence, and I mean, I have two dogs and a cat, and
yeah.
I'm hoping to get 100 more,
Oh, good.
and
Yes.
but the way I feel
Yeah.
around. It doesn't matter what's going on. I could be having a panic attack, and when I hold my cat, or when I
Yeah.
lie down next to my dog,
Mm,
I mean, it's one of the best, sort of tools I have in my toolkit, to kind of reset things,
yeah.
reset my nervous system.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. It truly, truly is. And I see why some people, I have met people who, even said that I prefer to be around animals than people, than humans.
Yeah.
And they do that
Yeah.
actually. That
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I get it.
yeah, right. Isn't that funny? And I feel the same way too. And in a sad way, even I have to say, because I love people, I love connecting. So I can't, it hurts me when I have to say no to certain people, keep them away, because I know everything is interconnected and or connected essentially, and there's no separation really. But I guess that's on different levels, right? We have to create boundaries too, and I'm learning to do that.
Yeah.
Another question that I have for you is about still regarding nervous system dysregulation or regulation. Yeah, so I noticed some friends, they are able to do that. Some friends of mine, they are around the same people that I feel like I can't be around them because of that energy that I can, or the nervous system, something that I can, that doesn't make the body feel good or safe. But for them, it's not a problem. So they don't feel the same way. So. It's not just energetically you're saying. So there's something about I'm actually sensing something that it's connected to trauma. So is that something that I have heard about the gifts of trauma too? That we learn to create safe boundaries. So I clearly see that some people are. I would say they have unhealthy patterns. For example, they drink and they become to the point of being drunk and all that. And then I don't feel safe around them and I don't want to be around them. But some friends of mine, they don't mind. They're like, oh no, it's okay, it's safe, it's not. So how do we? Is that something that it's always coming from trauma? This kind of boundary that we create for safety, or? And I'm wondering if energetically, spiritually, if there's such a thing as almost like becoming so powerful, that inner power that we can be around anyone and do anything, that nothing affects us. I'm just, kind of contemplating that idea.
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, I think I would never make a statement that it always comes from trauma or always comes from anything. I think, there's so many reasons why that could happen. Trauma is definitely one. Again, it's just sort of, and especially early traumas and attachment wounds. So anytime a child was not feeling safe, with their earliest caregivers, that really affects, at least I believe that it really affects how we, show up as adults, how we have adult relationships, how we handle stress, and what kind of people feel safe for us, and so there's that element for sure. I don't know. I mean, but you mentioned that there's some, what did you say? There's like sort of, there could be a, almost like a bigger, like a sort of a more, I'm sorry, did you say like a more powerful or something else going on?
Yes, right. So in a sense, because I've been around a lot of spiritual people too, that do a lot of spiritual work, and I have done myself in practices. And at some point I have heard that if you, not just if you are healed from your traumas, but if you are connected to universal intelligence, then nothing affects you. So if you're really connected to source, and I have heard that. So I'm wondering if that's a question for me. Like, how am I really connected, to universal intelligence? If I'm still sensing at the physical level some, not that people, like you said, they are not broken or sick, and I'm not pushing them away. It's just there's something that it might be that alignment again, part of a destiny type of thing, that we're not supposed to be doing, all kinds of things. We are designed differently. So I'm wondering, I think that's it. The question is not as clear, but there's something about spiritual power, in a sense, that you're not afraid of anything and nothing affects you.
Well, I don't know anyone like that,
Right.
but it sounds incredible. And if that's the goal, I think that we can all strive for that. I would love to meet somebody who is that spiritually evolved, that they feel
Yes.
that nothing, that nothing affects them, or that they have this
Right.
sort of universal wisdom.
Right.
I'm sure they exist.
Yeah.
I don't meet any of them in my practice, but
Yes. Yes.
but
Yeah.
it's a lovely thought, and
Uh,
and I'm sure that there are people, I just haven't met them.
yes, me too, I have to say. Me
Yeah.
too. I have not met them. I heard of them.
Right.
Somebody are
I've heard,
saints. I bet
yeah.
they're
Uh-huh.
saints. Yeah, they
Sure. Yeah. And,
yeah.
people like, like Gandhi, or these
Mm,
people who are just
yeah.
transcendent, like
Yes.
maybe so. I mean, it would have been incredible to meet someone like that.
Yes, but that's a different, it's almost like not a destination. It might be a destiny because I think there's
Yes.
something about that, right? It's not a destination for
Hmm.
us to be. I like the idea of being fully human and fully divine, recognizing
Yeah.
our divinity, but also
Hmm.
embracing our vulnerability. It's so fragile, this
Yeah.
life here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, being humble, wise, but
Hmm.
also humble.
Yeah.
We are almost at the end, Megan. It has been really beautiful to connect with you. I felt like this connection at the level of
Yes.
course, exchanging, sharing knowledge, but also
Yes.
energetically that I felt very safe to kind of say anything. That's
Hmm.
how I know too. When I'm like, oh, I
Hmm.
can just share anything with this person. I can
Yeah.
just be me, basically.
Yes.
There's something about.
I feel the same way. It was a beautiful conversation, and I can feel your energy, and you have a really calming, lovely presence, and I can feel it.
Yeah. Thank you for seeing, almost like seeing you here.
Hmm. Yeah.
We can't really acknowledge or perceive anything that's not already within ourselves. That's something that
Right.
I noticed too.
I
So
agree.
even when I perceive the things that I don't align with, I do a lot of meditation on looking for parts of
Hmm.
me that are like
Hmm.
that. Like, wait a minute, if I could see that, that means that there's something here too. So I usually do that work
Absolutely.
as well. So I wanted to mention your services, but before that, I want to say something that I read that you wrote that I really love too. You say, you are not broken, sick, or destined to repeat generational patterns. You are
Hmm.
powerful and capable of affecting change in your life and healing yourself. So,
Yes.
this is such a beautiful statement. And it's so true. And then you say, ultimately, you deserve to write your own story and live your best life. I'm here to
Yeah.
support you. So, in your journey of healing and self discovery. I
Hmm.
love that
Hmm.
way
Thank
you add
you.
that.
Thank you. Yeah, I do feel like a lot of people who come to therapy do have these ideas that, there's something wrong with them, or they're never, it's never going to be better, or, they are broken in some way. And no one is,
Mm,
and we can all heal.
yes.
And I want to empower, and part of what I do and what I want to do is I want to empower people.
Yes.
It's never too late. We can always write a new chapter. We can always change. And that's
Yes.
back to the beginning of this conversation. We're always changing. Every day we're different. And so every day is a new opportunity. Every day is a new lesson. Every day is,
Mm, mm.
something new. And that's the way I live. And that's the way, I want my clients to see it as well.
Yes, that's beautiful. Thank you for being this
Yeah.
way, for being open to life and giving yourself to
Um,
life in that sense too. It's truly beautiful.
Thank
I love
you.
the curiosity, and there's something about that. Always being,
Hmm.
open to learn, and
Yeah,
it changes everything. So
it
I
does.
want to mention your website, thescientisttherapist.com. So we'll be in
Hmm.
the podcast notes. I also want to mention your specialties: individual therapy, couples therapy, trauma therapy, and then and that includes you treat stress and anxiety. We talked today a
Hmm.
lot about stress, about anxiety,
Yep.
and also of
Hmm.
course even panic attacks. So we just kind of
Yep.
brought all that. Abuse,
Yep.
adjustment disorders, adolescents and teens. You also work with pregnancy, infertility, pre and postnatal issues, depression, parenting, and genetic and neurobiological expertise and counseling. Wow, you
Hmm.
cover a lot. Did I miss anything, Megan? from your story?
No, you didn't. You got it all.
Yeah, I just put them here. And then at the end of our conversation, would you like to add anything that you left unsaid or anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like I passed on my message. No, I feel good. I feel good.
Beautiful. Thank you so much
Yeah.
again for your beautiful presence. Safe,
Aw.
beautiful, expanded. And deep and wise. I mean, I could just go on with all those words because they're true. That's how I feel.
Aw.
So thank you
Thank you,
so much again
Valeria. It
for
was
being you.
lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Megan Plotkowski and her work, please visit thescientisththerapist.com.